Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How are you today? Hope you are doing well. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. Today is the 13th of April, 2016. That's on the Gregorian calendar. Our sun sign is in Aries. Our moon sign is in Cancer. We've had a couple of aspects that have already taken place today. The first one was shortly after midnight, 12:35, where Mercury went into a sextile with the moon sign of Cancer, and at 4:13 a.m. Jupiter also went into a sextile with Cancer, expanding the ideas, the emotions that are associated with it. The rest of the aspects coming up today, 9:57 a.m. Opposition between the moon sign and Pluto. So here we see, here's our opposition, the moon in Cancer and Pluto. So we're going to go look in the right area. There's Cancer, there's the moon, opposite Pluto. And where's Pluto? Pluto's in Capricorn. Remember Capricorn, tarot card of the devil, illusion. So we have this illusionary thing going on. Also Capricorn and Earth sign, so the physical world. So we have events and transformation taking place within the physical reality. And the opposite of that is our emotions. So remember, we have to not let our emotions run us, because if they do, then we get caught up in the illusion. So we have to keep our emotions in check. One thing with the astrological sign of Cancer, it's represented by this sign here, the Chariot. The armor is all about protecting the person in the vehicle, the charioteer, from all of the emotions, because there's a lot of emotions. We have to protect ourselves. It's kind of like when you see in the tarot card of the moon where you see the creature crawling out from the water and he has a shell on. It's because we come out of the water. We come out of these emotions. We have to protect ourselves. Especially just look around the world today. Look around the world every day. Look at all the emotions that are in the world. Everything from anger to, peacefulness and everything in between. There's a whole lot of emotions and feelings taking place. And so we need to be aware of that. Someone may try to push our buttons. They do it every single day. We're the ones who are in charge, though, of how we are going to allow those buttons to get pushed and if we do or not. So that's what we need to pay attention to. Coming up later this afternoon, the moon sign Cancer is going to be in a square with Uranus. Uranus brings surprises, unexpected events, things of that nature. So our emotions are going to get something surprising, unexpected that's going to have to deal with a lesson to get past. And then as we get into the evening, 8:01 p.m., the healer, the wounded part of ourselves that needs healing, is going to get looked at here, as it's going to be in a trine with Cancer. So our emotions and the wounded part of ourselves are going to have a chance to communicate, figure out how to heal more than what's going on. And just shy of 11 o'clock tonight, 10:59 p.m., both the sun in Aries and the moon in Cancer are going to be in a square, going to be working with each other. So what we've got going on is a lesson between these two characters. This character right here and this character squaring off with each other. Squaring off. What are they going to do? A battle. Battle's going on between the two of them. Well, one is setting things in order. Okay. One is dealing with the emotions and moving through the emotional realms. And so between the two of those, we have a lot of opportunity to regain our balance and our strength, to organize who and what we're about, to put ourselves in a proper place so our emotions are not getting, out of whack because somebody's pushing the buttons, that we are able to protect ourselves. And if we're able to protect ourselves and then put things together in an ordered manner, I think we'll find ourselves having the opportunities of success that we would like to have. Okay. 44.4% of the way full, making our way up to the full moon. April 21st will be the day we'll be there. We're already today at the first quarter phase. We'll be there officially 8:59 p.m. tonight, so we are getting close to that moon, 1 week away. The Jewish calendar, we're in the month of Nisan, the 5th day of Nisan. Daily thought for today is reciprocal tolerance. Every moment your creator must decide, how should I measure this little creature with its imperfections and blunders? How often and by what scale? Then he looks at how you measure others, and by that same measure, he measures you. Okay. Makes us wonder in how we're measuring others then, if we're going to be measured accordingly. The Mayan Oracle, we have a 11-tone day. It's a tone of dissolving, where you dissolve salt or sugar or something into the water, and it becomes sweet or salty because the water absorbs that. So that idea dissolves to become even bigger than it was. This is our vision. Our vision is dissolving to become even larger. Okay, and it's guided by our vision. We're in the wave spell of the serpent, which is life force energy. So, we have the eagle guided by the eagle. Phrase for today is I dissolve in order to create, releasing mind. I seal the output of vision with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. And we are coming to the end of these 10 days of intensity. We get a little bit of a break after this, but then we're right into the middle pillar. So life continues on. Solar wind 546.2 kilometers per second. Planetary index at the moment is unsettled. It's a 4. Could get as high as a 5 over the next 24 hours. Several popped up. We could see a large one on the bottom, one starting to turn inward. So we probably will be feeling effects from those. M-class flare possibilities at 10% now, but X-class is only at 1. Geomagnetic storm activity in mid-latitude seems to be stable, 35, 30. Upper latitudes, same thing as well, severe, 70%. So we definitely are going to be feeling the effects of what's going on. Remember, we are in a storm, unsettled, moving to a storm, which it seems like we are going to get there. And finally, looking up into the sky tonight, the 13th, the first quarter moon, will be exact at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The moon after dusk is positioned between Pollux and Castor to its upper right and Procyon to its lower left. There you go. That's our cosmic weather today. So we have a lot of emotions. We're dealing with things in order. So plan accordingly, move throughout the day accordingly. That brings us up to UFO news. Let's do it.
This is the UFO news with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today, there's a lot of UFO stories. Lots of stuff going on, so I thought I'd give you the expanded report here on all of these different sightings. First one, 2 motherships meeting between Earth and the Sun. This was found in the SOHO NASA images. There's your objects in question. Says this comes to us from Street Cap 1. Says these 2 structures in space at point L1 1 million miles away. Also a white object, probably filmed over 19.3 seconds. Open shutter, appears to be a long object, maybe one of ours meeting one of theirs. Okay, here's the two objects right up there. So if they are meeting up there in this area, obviously they don't have the same concerns about what's going on up there with the energy as we do, because they maybe know something a little bit more. Next, we have a Turkey UFO. It says UFO over sea spotted in Turkey has returned again after 9 years. You may recall this other one, a shot of it. Remember this one? There, and you had the little dudes right there. Little alien dudes. Well, here we have the eyewitness says we were in the hotel in Kemir, Antalya, sitting and talking with my family. Shiny objects move with strange move. We thought it was a helium-filled metallic balloon. It moved north first, then came back and hovered above the sea. I was surprised and I took 5 shots with my Canon 450D zoom lens. When I look at the pictures, it was like a door opened at the end of the photos. It becomes the known UFO shape and vanished. I said vanished because when I tried to take 6 photo, I could not find it anywhere. Okay, interesting. Interesting indeed. Here we have a Austria. Couple of lights in the sky above Austria. Check out this really interesting UFO video. Bright orbs flying across the sky. Graz in Austria. It looks like they combine into one and then vanish away.
You'd think popular travel websites.
All right, so I'm
hotels, right? Well, they don't.
We're just gonna
Actually, you're
skip
kind of hotel blind.
skip on past that one. Links available. Okay, here we have a map. Camouflaged UFOs recorded on video lurking behind the clouds, according to the narrator of the YouTube video. Channel Secure Team 10, the video shows a UFO in the sky above Fraser, North Memphis, Tennessee. Maybe hard to tell the location of the UFO in the original video, but the exposure-enhanced version of the footage shows a bizarre shadow behind the clouds. The UFO enthusiast claims the footage was taken March 28th, and the man named Mr. Schneider sent it to him. According to the video marker, he heard the strange, loud booming sounds before the sighting. He observed the sky more often to identify the source of the noise and even watched over the internet for possible explanations. After several days, he seemed to lose hope in getting an account of the strange sounds. The man then reportedly experienced an odd feeling that there was something over him in the sky. Decided to get his camera, started recording the sky. All of a sudden, he saw a massive machine-like structure that appeared to be moving. Claimed that the strange aerial thing broke through the clouds for a split second, but was easier to see with the naked eye. Okay. Here we have one. Says, is the military using secret alien technology in their triangle craft? Well, this certainly isn't the first time that that idea has come into play. Not at all. We've certainly heard this before. Okay. Says UFO military plane spotters catch UFO of a lifetime. And all I have here is a video link that doesn't seem to want to do anything. It's being stubborn, so I'm just going to move on. Okay, here we go. Benevolent ET's bond with John Salter. In most cases, a UFO abduction is a harrowing, humiliating experience, one that the participant would love to forget. In some cases, however, the abduction process becomes a rewarding one. Such is the case of John Salter Jr. and his son John III. John Jr., a faculty member of the University of North Dakota, was scheduled for a speaking tour of the southern states. It was March 1988 when he was accompanied by his son, drove his pickup truck down to Route 61, heading for his first engagement. For some unknown reason, John drove his truck off to the scheduled route. 1 hour later, the two found themselves traveling in the opposite direction. They decided to take a rest for the night and continue their trip the next morning. The two men were at a loss to understand what had happened the evening before. Though they discussed it at length, they continued down the original mapped-out drive. Suddenly, the two were shocked to see a shining UFO with a silvery energy field. The object had just appeared over the road they were on. John Jr. and his son both had a familiar feeling about what they were seeing. Then they began to have flashbacks which refreshed their minds of the events of the previous day. They looked at each other, both now aware that the day before they had been stopped dead in their tracks by the object they were now enthralled with. Both men had stepped out of the vehicle as a group of aliens came toward their pickup truck. At first, John Jr. thought that he was seeing a group of children until he saw a taller being which seemed half human, half alien. The group of strange beings led the two men away in the direction of the object. The two men, although frightened in one way, felt that the alien beings would not hurt them. John Jr. would later relate how he felt a sense of being protected by the strange entities. He had taken a stumble while they were making their way to the ship, but the type of energy kept him from falling and being hurt. John Jr. and his son were both led to a room with curved walls where they were placed in chairs which resembled the fork-back type used by dentists. Both men would later recall a feeling of being immobilized while they laid back in the chairs and were examined. John Jr.'s examination began with an implant being inserted into his nostril. Remarkably, though, without pain. Next, an instrument of some kind was injected into the side of his neck and another one at the top of his chest. He felt the three areas chosen by the beings had a medical significance. The placement related to the three glands, the pituitary, the thyroid, and the thymus. John had enough medical knowledge to know that the three glands regulated human growth, metabolism, and immunity. After the contemplation of the test, John Jr. felt a strange sense of the bonding with strange alien beings. He also sensed a message which stated that they would meet again. These strange circumstances would take several more bizarre turns after John and his son had returned home. John Jr. noticed a gradual improvement of his overall health. His fingernails and his hair grew faster and thicker, and a scar on his forehead began to fade and eventually almost disappeared. Another amazing fact John Jr. related was that though he was a smoker who struggled with the desire to quit, he was now able to quit without even thinking about it. To both of the Salter men, the abduction seemed to have a happy ending. John Jr. was known as a respectable, professional man, and those who knew him were hard-pressed to discount his story, as remarkable as it may seem. The case of the Salters was dramatized in the 1988 movie Visitors from the Unknown. Okay, a nice little video interview here for you of this, and I'm going to leave that for you so you could check that out on your own. Okay, here we have a story from Exopolitics. It says, awakened Stasi giants secretly located and imprisoned by the global elite. So here we have what looks to be someone wearing a crown. He got his eyes, nose, mouth, beard. It says giants that's been in hibernation in Stasi's chambers for thousands of years are awakening and are being sought out by elite military forces, according to several independent sources. After being located, awakened giants are allegedly being captured and held hostage by powerful global elite groups that do not want the rest of humanity to learn the truth. Secret space program whistleblower Corey Goode was among the first to publicly disclose the existence of Stasis chambers that were holding perfectly preserved giants for thousands of years. In an August 4, 2015 interview on the popular show Cosmic Disclosure, Goode discussed how he had accessed information on smart glass pads during the covert service about these sleeping giants and technology of the Stasis chambers that were preserving them. Goode says when he was in the program, the secret space program, when I would have the time to sit and look at the smart glass pad, there was lots of information that I looked at. And one of them that was there were beings that they found underneath the surface of the earth. Usually underneath mountains, burial mountains, Indian burial mountains. They were not dead, but weren't quite alive. They called them stasis beings, and it turned out that they had used a technology that had been put there long prior from this group they called the ancient builder race. So it didn't put the beings in stasis that a lot of us would think of as being frozen, but it just changed the way they experienced time. They would probably go to sleep for maybe 20 minutes, and 30,000 years or so would pass by. Could describe the size of the beings found in the stasis chambers when they were first discovered in the 19th century all over the planet. And to look down, they saw these very tall beings, or very large, giant humans with reddish beards. These tall, red-bearded groups were in Europe and South and North America. They apparently, at one time, before the last ice age, apparently, they had very large area that they had ruled. Good gave examples of stasis chambers that had been found around the world. Some are still operating with different modern human groups. That had learned how to use the technology where others had been damaged, and the beings in stasis had died as a result. According to once located, the stasis giants were kept hidden, and any awakened would join others and not allowed to interact with the general public. According to Stephen Quayle, who has written several books about giants, elite U.S. military forces had been stationed around the world, including trouble spots such as Afghanistan, to locate the giants. Quayle, city elites, military personnel who have spoken about the battles with the giants. During one of his radio interviews in Coast to Coast AM, one of the military informants called in and told the audience about his incident in Afghanistan involving a deadly encounter between a 12-foot giant and U.S. Special Forces. The informant claimed that the giant had killed 9 members of an elite team sent to capture it, and took a second team to arrive to finally kill the giant. Quayle uses biblical sources to support his analysis of giants and what they mean for humanity in the current era. Basically, he views them as the biblical Nephilim, who are the offspring of demonic entities that are hostile to humanity. The Nephilim giants, according to Quayle, were predicted to reemerge during the end times and be restored to power by the corrupt global elite. In his book Long Walkers, Return of the Nephilim, Quayle provides a fiction based on fact version of what the elites have planned. He said, before history, giants and fallen angels ruled the earth as gods, until mankind revolted in a colossal battle, banishing the bloodthirsty creatures. But now Joshua Kincaid has made an alarming discovery. Some of the giants are still alive, kept in secret underground caverns in suspended animation, waiting to be revived. Worse, the secret society operating outside the law is intent on bringing these monsters back to life and restoring the creatures as rulers of mankind. Interesting, Quayle sources have confirmed that the giants have been preserved in stasis chambers for extended periods and are now awaking. This is consistent with what Good discovered on the smart glass pad. Alright, you can see there's a lot more to this. What's going on? Okay. So, quite the story, huh? Quite the story. Does it surprise you? Doesn't surprise me. We've heard and experienced all kind of things with different extraterrestrials, so surprises me not what might be experienced out there. And I have one more story, and this one is a surprise story because, well, the person who the story is about actually had a different opinion on the subject at one point in time, and so says Stephen Hawking and Billionaire team up on $100 million quest to find alien life. Stephen Hawking and Russian billionaire Yuri Milner are teaming up in a $100 million hunt for alien life that will rely on a fleet of postage stamp-sized spacecraft to explore the universe. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg will also join Milner and Hawking on the board of Breakthrough Starshot, a philanthropic initiative to focus on space exploration and the search for life in the universe. Astronomers believe that Earth-like planet could exist within the habitable zones of Alpha Centauri, the closest star system to Earth, located 25 million miles or 4.37 light years away. Breakthrough Starshot hopes to launch thousands of tiny, light-propelled spacecraft called nanocrafts with the goal of reaching the star system in 20 years. Each nanocraft is designed to fly 20% the speed of light on a sail pushed by a light beam, making it over 1,000 times faster than today's fastest spacecraft. With conventional spacecraft technology, it would take 30,000 years to reach Alpha Centauri. Earth is a wonderful place, but it might not last forever. Hawking said in a statement, sooner or later we must look for the stars, to the stars. Breakthrough starshot is very exciting first step on that journey. Okay, so Stephen Hawking, who not too long ago said that it was not good that we look at these extraterrestrials because most likely they were going to be malevolent and want to kill us. Now he wants to go looking for them. Sounds to me like Stephen kind of goes from one extreme to the next, doesn't quite know what he's doing. But that wouldn't be the first time that he didn't know what he was doing. Anyway, that's it. UFO news. Moving on. Got some other stuff. Let's jump away and I'll be back. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continue on. Continuing on. Okay. So, a lot of stuff going on in the world. I guess been paying attention, watching what's been happening. I guess the first thought that comes to mind is, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what political affiliation you have. I hope that people are able to put aside their particular bias and look at what's going on to see what is really happening. Donald Trump keeps calling out corruption, and others are having to answer to that, in some cases denying that this corruption exists. However, what Donald is saying is accurate. Corruption has been going on, but not just through this election cycle. It's been going on for a long, long time. We certainly know of plenty presidents that we can look back and say they stole the election. It's not the first time we've heard these kind of talk. It's simply the first time that it's been pointed out on such a large scale. And so it's interesting just to watch how the media is trying to spin this, because we have been played, folks. We have been lied to. The system is corrupt, and it is corrupt, and it is rigged for those who are in power in the establishment. The reason they're rigging it is because their systems and their way of doing things are so out of whack that if they didn't rig the system, they wouldn't win, because people would know better. So between the media, which misinforms people, and the government, which rigs the system, most people really are having troubles able to make it through life smoothly, because they think that they have a say, but they find out they don't. And what's going on with this political process has shown this. What's happened in Colorado shows that they don't care what the people have to say. Somebody else has decided they're going to make the decision for the people in Colorado without giving them their say. But here in America, that's the right to vote. Whether or not that actually makes a difference, the voting process, Still, it's the right of every American to be able to do that vote. And when it's taken away, it's an indication that there's something wrong with the system. So we do have a broken system. There shouldn't be any American, if you are an American, who is looking at the broken system and saying, yay, this is a great system because my person is winning. You should look at the system and you should say, this is a broken system and we need to fix this. We need to stop putting in leaders who are part of a faulty, broken system, who are willing to admit it. Now, one thing I think is brilliant is, while Donald is pointing out the corruption in the media, the rigging, he's forcing others to side against it. So when you have media personalities, or you have someone like Cruz or other politicians saying, oh no, the media is not rigged, instantly they set themselves on the side of being liars, because we know it's rigged. It's been rigged since 1921, when the Council on Foreign Relations went in place. Propaganda was put against the American people. Now here in 2016, there have been propaganda bills that have been put in place. So most people don't know if they're being lied to, and if you are, it's okay, because the government has sanctioned lying to the people as being okay. So we need to learn, my friends. We need to learn from what's going on. You know, the mainstream media is not publicizing things, but there's been a big protest going on in Washington, D.C. On Monday, there were 400 protesters that were arrested. You could watch this if you go online and you dig up the info. You can find it. It's called Democracy Spring. Now, it was kind of disturbing in some ways to watch it, because these people were protesting peacefully, and one after a time, one after another, the cops would come and load them, handcuff them with zip ties, and then load them in. I watched young people, I watched elderly folks, and everyone in between getting arrested peacefully and then walking onto this bus. Well, in between time, as they're standing there in their cuffs, just talking with the officers as if this is just a normal everyday occurrence. People going about arresting other Americans for just exercising their rights, speaking out against the government atrocities, and then those who are protecting the government, just like slaves, mindless slaves, arresting them. But what happened the other day was all the jails got filled up. They broke a record for how many people were arrested at a particular period of time. So the jails got filled up, and most likely what's going to happen, these folks are going to go into the jails, they're going to pay their bail, they're going to be back out, and they're just going to rejoin the group. And then the group's going to get larger. So this weekend, you might want to keep your eyes open for anything going on in Washington, D.C., because there are 2 other groups that are expected to be out there by the weekend, and another major sit-in, even though they're doing them all week, a larger sit-in with more people is scheduled for this coming weekend and into the beginning of next week. So we'll see what the mainstream media decides to do about this, if they decide to talk about it. Maybe they won't at all. Maybe they won't even mention it. But we will find out, I suppose, as we get there. All right. So our challenge, as we hear all these events, is to live. We don't want to get caught up in all of these things, because it's real easy to get caught up and then get caught up in their cycle of anger. If one was to turn on the mainstream news and just sit there all day long watching it, it would be quite frustrating. It gets even more frustrating when people continue to watch the programs that are doing nothing to really encourage them to think for themselves, but are simply keeping them in the loop. And yet many, many people think that that is real news. So every day people turn on Fox, every day people turn on CNN, every day people turn on MSNBC. Despite the fact that media has been controlled for 95 years, people still turn it on expecting that today's could be the day they're going to actually get the real news. But for 95 years, they haven't given you the real news. They give you a story, and then you are supposed to unravel that story. And then as time goes by, we find out that the stories are manipulated, they're lies, what have you. So the mainstream media really needs to be held accountable for what's going on in the world, the problems that are going on here in America. They've instigated a lot of these problems, And one day, it may be an unfortunate day, but one day some of these things that the mainstream personalities are lying about may end up showing up at their own front doors in their own neighborhoods, and they're going to have to deal with the situations. And their families are going to have to deal with situations. And they're going to wonder, why are these situations occurring to them? They're supposed to be immune because they're the media. There's no immunity. There's no immunity for you. You're simply lying out there because you're getting a paycheck, but one day the things you're lying about may be the very things that are there causing chaos in your life, just like it's doing for many others right now. So the best thing the mainstream could do is to get with the program and quit lying to the people. Realize that they're part of the group of the people, but they might not get there. So we can't rely upon the media. We need to rely upon our own self. We could turn to religion. We could see there's all sorts of challenges there on things. Again, we have to turn to ourselves. It's all about turning inside. Because when we turn inside, when we figure out what's going on with us and how we are going to operate in the world, then we make an important statement for ourselves. Because it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. It matters how we respond to what's going on in the world, because that's what makes all the changes. We could get angry, we could fight every single day, or we could be peaceful. We could find that middle ground where we don't get walked on, but we don't go out and attack. So lots of challenges, lots of challenges. I brought up a couple articles here that talk about potential that we have. Here's one, 15 life-changing lessons to learn from Wayne Dyer. 15 life lessons to learn from Wayne Dyer. I thought this would be a good one. It says, we are not our bodies, possessions, or our career. We are divine love. We are is divine love, and that is infinite. Dr. Wayne Dyer. There are people in this world who can touch our hearts in really profound and meaningful ways, and that's exactly the impact Wayne Dyer had on me. Wayne Dyer, you're one of the most beautiful, humble, authentic people who ever walked on this earth, and I learned so much from you. You taught me to be humble, how to live in love and truth, and to always honor who I truly am underneath it all. You taught me how to be better than I used to be, and will always be thankful for this. Thank you for sharing love and knowledge and your wisdom to all of us. So here are 15 points. The world is, was, and will be a better place. Just because you have lived, you'll be greatly missed. I didn't know that Wayne Dyer passed on. It says here 1940 to 2015. Well, Wayne left behind a lot of great information and really was helpful to a lot of people, so that's awesome. Awesome with all the stuff he left, and prayers and blessings out to his families and those he left behind. So here are 15 points. 1. Cooperation is healthier than competition. Working on improving your own person and be so busy doing so you don't have time to compare and compete with others. We'll all live in this together, and a sense of separation will only weaken us, creating more pain and suffering. 2. If you love people, you don't try to change them. When you love somebody, you love them for what they are, not for what you want them to be, without imposing your will and without constantly trying to change them. 3. Ignorance is not bliss. Allow yourself to expand your mind a little more day by day. Give up labels and you will be happier. 4. You are not a victim of this world. When you affirm things like, you make me mad, the situation is upsetting me, I can't believe you are treating me this, you start playing the victim game. Take responsibility for your own thoughts, your own feelings and actions, and by doing so, you will no longer give your power away to forces outside yourself. 5. You find yourself in solitude. If you are comfortable in your own skin, you really love your own person, you will not be afraid to spend time alone. 6. Rejection makes you stronger. If you trust and listen to your own heart and intuition, you will always know where to go, what to do with your life. No matter how many doors close in your face, you will not give up, and you will allow rejection to make you stronger, better, not bitter. 7. Self-worth cannot be verified by others. If you constantly seek outside yourself for approval and validation, you will never be happy. We're all different. We all perceive things different ways, but your reputation is not something you can really control. Okay, 8. You don't attract what you want in your life, you attract what you are. People often think they focus long enough on something they want with the law of attraction and everything, they will get whatever they want in life, but that's not how things work. If you purify your mind, your heart, you will attract many beautiful things into your life, and abundance will not be something that you will have to chase because it will chase you. On the other hand, if your mind and your heart is full of negativity, in all of its forms will show up in your life. 9. There are no limits to what you can achieve. You are a no limit person. There are no limits to what you can achieve, only those you choose to impose on yourself. When you argue for your limitations, all you get are your limitations. Heaven on earth is a choice you must make, not a place you must find. Focus on the bad, and that's all you will see and attract in your life. Focus on the good, and that's all you will see and attract into your life. Loving people live in a loving world. Hostile people live in a hostile world. Same world. 11. No need to stress over everything. Believe it or not, there's an invisible force who created the whole world, the whole universe, and this force becomes available to us the moment we stop trying to do it all by ourselves. The moment we decide to allow events to take their natural course and for us to just go with the flow. All you need is already within you. In this moment, you have it all right now, right here, nothing lacking. Take time to be quiet at least 5 minutes a day, and in time you'll discover that you have access to happiness, peace, abundance, and all the good at all times. 13. There is no end to personal growth. Personal growth doesn't end when you finish school. The moment you stop growing, you can say that you stopped living. 14. Be realistic. Expect miracles. There's a great power in the universe, the source of it all, and this power, it makes itself available to you the moment you align yourself with who you really are deep down inside, creating miracles for you and those you love. And 15, follow your heart and you will be successful. This is such a powerful truth that only few of us get to live and discover. When you get your life on purpose, when you focus on giving the best of yourself to the world, abundance will flow freely into your life and you will discover happiness you never thought could be yours. Okay, so I want to go over, there's 15 quotes here. Let me just read each one of these. Doing what you love is the cornerstone of having abundance in your life. Once you believe in yourself and you see your soul as divine and precious, you'll automatically be converted to a being who can create miracles. Individuals who use self-labels are stating, I'm a finished product in this area, I'm never going to be any different. If you're a finished product all tied up and put away, you've stopped growing. You have everything you need for complete peace and total happiness right now. Good morning, this is God. I will be handling all of your problems today. I will not need your help, so have a miraculous day. Loving people live in a loving world. Hostile people live in a hostile world. Same world. When you argue for your limitations, all you get are your limitations. If you're obsessed with defeating the other guy and winning at all costs, then you're guaranteed to attract the vibrational equivalent of this thinking into your life, even if you do yoga and stand on your head chanting mantras every day. Self-worth cannot be verified by others. You are worthy because you say it is so. If you depend on others for your value, it is other worth. Be grateful to all those people who told you no. It's because of them that you managed to do it all yourself. You cannot be lonely if you take the person you're alone with, if you like the person you're alone with. How do you treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. So how people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. The highest form of ignorance is when you reject something you don't know anything about. Love is the ability and willingness to allow those who you care for to be what they choose for themselves without any insistence that they satisfy you. And if you're always in a hurry, always trying to get ahead of the other guy or someone else's performance is what motivates you, then that person is in control of you. All right, so good stuff from Wayne Dyer. Very good stuff. He's been a inspirational speaker, inspirational person, and his info is around for everyone to share forever and ever. All right, and here is an article from In5D. It says, monks with superhuman abilities show scientists what we can all do. It's fascinating to consider just how many ancient teachings tell us that humans have the capacity to gain extraordinary powers through various techniques. Some of these techniques, known as siddhas in the yoga tradition, include meditation, static dancing, drumming, praying, fasting, psychedelics, and more. In Buddhism, for example, the existence of advanced powers is readily acknowledged. In fact, Buddha expected his disciples to be able to attain these abilities, but also to not become distracted by them. A professor of Buddhist and Tibetan studies at the University of Michigan, Donald Lopez Jr., describes many of the abilities ascribed to Buddha. With this enlightenment, he was believed to possess all manner of supernormal powers, including full knowledge of each of his own past lives and those of other beings. The ability to know other thoughts, the ability to create doubles of himself, the ability to rise into the air simultaneously, shoot fire and water from his body. Although he passed into nirvana at the age of 81, he could have lived for an aeon until the end of the aeon if he only had asked to do so. Again, there are numerous historical anecdotes of people, such as the Institute of Noetic Science calls them extended human capacities. Since this article is focused on Buddhist monks, here's another example from the lore written by Swami Rama, living with the Himalayan masters. I've never seen before a man who could sit without blinking his eyelids for 8 to 10 hours. But this adept was very unusual. He levitated 2.5 feet during his meditations. We measured this with the string, which was later measured by a foot rule. I would like to make it clear, though, as I've already told you, that I don't consider levitation to be a spiritual practice. It is an advanced practice of pranayama with application of bandhyas locks. One who knows about the relationship between mass and weight understands this is possible to levitate, but only after long practice. He also had the power to transform matter into other forms, like changing a rock into a sugar cube. One after another, the next morning, he did many such things. He told me to touch the sand, and the grains of the sand turned into almonds and cashews. I had heard of this science before and knew its basic principles, but I had hardly believed such stories. I did not explore the field, but I am fully acquainted with the governing laws of science. A lot of stories exist within the literature and lore, but these are just stories, up to the readers to decide if they hold any actual credibility. Of course, one who subscribes to various ancient teachings would be more inclined to believe that they are more than just stories and tales. With science shedding light on the possible truths of ancient mysticism, it's not implausible to think at one time that these abilities were more common knowledge. Okay, you can see there's a lot more to the article here, but it's not the first time you've heard these kind of things, that we certainly do have wonderful potentials available to us. And that's what the whole point is, the potentials that we have. All right. Next up, we have a message for today. This is from Angel Gabriel. Angel Gabriel. Here we go.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message Tuesday, April 12th, 2016 by Shelley Young. Dear ones, if you are experiencing fear with love, you are still practicing conditional love, the idea that you will love only if it gets a certain result or outcome. The love you are yearning for is unconditional love, love that you flow with, without any expectation, simply because it feels wonderful to love and express yourself as the love that you are. One is constrained and controlling, the other completely expansive and free. Only one allows you to show up in your divine beauty and truth. Isn't that where you would like to create your love relationships from? Archangel Gabriel.
Okay, that was a very short and sweet message from Archangel Gabriel. And that brings us finally to our meditation for today. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. and exhale. Take another breath. Hold it. And exhale. One more breath. Inhale. Hold it. And exhale. Now, let's just imagine ourselves walking along a path, feeling completely at ease. We feel the energy around us moving, and we feel that it moves upon our body, and we understand that we have the ability to process this energy that hits us, affects us. And so we allow this energy to process itself through our being. And as it does so, we find that the protections that we have put up around our body are able to channel out any unwanted feelings. We're able to decipher between the games that our mind is playing with us and those that are real. And we find that the emotions are often the effect of these extra thoughts or feelings that come our way. So we just imagine ourselves moving through the world, wearing our armor, being protected as we move through the world. And we just imagine all of these emotions bouncing off of our armor. So we're able to move through the world smoothly and peacefully. So let's just move through the world smoothly and peacefully, sending out positive vibes, positive energy as we go, and let that be enough for today. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey of sending out positivity and love. Let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for today. Thank you so much for being here. Look, there's a lot going on in the world. A whole lot going on in the world. We can either get caught up in it, or we can move with it. If we simply go inside of ourselves and we find our own strength and understand who and what we're about, we move with it. And we can make decisions accordingly. We can use our sense of discernment to understand if we're being told the truth or if we're being told a lie. All of these things will help us to make better decisions so that we can be more effective in the world around us. It's not such a complicated process. It really isn't. It's just that we have so many voices out there trying to distract you from where you're going and what you're doing. So we just have to tune out all of those voices of distraction and just stay focused. And the way you stay focused is you go inside to know who and what you are about. That way you can move forward without those distractions affecting you. Because how could the distractions affect you if you are allowing yourself to move in a place of being undistracted? It's not that difficult. It really isn't. We just need to make the decisions on what we want to do and how we want to do it, and then we get her done. That's it, my friends. I'll be back with more news and information. Until then, have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.